sketch a graph of g of x equals the negative square root of 2x minus 4 as a transformation of the graph of f of x equals the square root of x. We'll start off with f of x equals the square root of x, and we need to transform this equation into the equation for g of x. The first thing we can do inside the radical is replace x with 2x. Replace x with 2x. Now what that does, we know when we multiply x by a number, that gives us a horizontal stretch or shrink. In this case, it's going to be a horizontal shrink by a factor of 2. So shrink horizontally by 2. Then we've got the inside of the square root in a good place. It matches what we want. Now we have to see what happens to this on the outside. And the first thing that's happening to this function is we're putting a negative sign in front. So we're taking the opposite. We will replace our function with the opposite of the function. And then the last thing we need to do is take our new function and subtract 4. So we'll replace our function with our function minus 4 to get g of x. Now, what do these two things do for the graph? When we replace a function with the opposite of function, since the negative is on the outside, we know this will be a vertical transformation. And of course, this will be a reflection. So we're going to reflect about the x-axis because we're reflecting vertically. So we're going across the x-axis. And then when we replace the function with the function minus 4, we know that subtracting 4 from our function will shift us down by 4 units. So the three transformations that we have here are shrinking horizontally by a factor of 2, and then reflecting vertically about the x-axis, and then shifting downwards by 4 units. So let's do this. We're going to start with our points, and we're going to shrink horizontally by a factor of 2. So each of these points will end up getting only half as far from the y-axis than they started out with. So this one is 4 units away. If we shrink this by a factor of 2, actually, we should shrink it by a factor of 1/2. It kind of means the same thing. If we're shrinking it by 2, we're making it half as big. We can either divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. It's really the same difference. When we're shrinking by 1/2, we're going to be half as far away. So that's going to put the point here. This one is 9 units away from the y-axis. So if we shrink that by 1/2, it's going to end up being 4.5 units away. This one is 1 unit away from the y-axis. If we shrink that, that makes it half a unit away. And the origin is on the y-axis, so it's unaffected by this horizontal shrink, and so it stays where it is. Next, we need to reflect all of this about the x-axis. So it's going to go vertically across the x-axis. So this point right here is 3 units above the x-axis. When we reflect it vertically, it ends up going 3 units below the x-axis. This one is 2 units above. When we reflect it, it goes 2 units below. This one is 1 unit above. When we reflect it, it goes 1 unit below. And again, the origin is unaffected by this. So we've got our 4 new points. And then lastly, we have to shift down by 4 units. If we shift each of these down by 4 units, The origin is going to move down to -4. The next point is going to move down to -5. The following point is going to move down to -6. And the last one will move down to -7. We're shifting all of these down 4 units, and we end up with a graph that looks something like this. This represents g of x equals the negative square root of 2x minus 4.